it's you again. Hello, you little twaddle stick. All right, well, this week, I'm in my civilian clothes. It's a Sunday, and I'm not actually doing any wrenching. And I get very excited when I get to wear civilian clothes because I'm here all the time, and I'm always wearing the same filthy garments. Anyway, let's talk about some stuff. This video, I had just shot a small, just the tip about a radiator leak, but I wanted to incorporate a somewhat larger video with a little information, a little philosophical foo-fara and bloviating, which is in fact what I do best, about the nature of the cooling system and what to expect. So after we did this radiator replacement, which you're going to see, which was the initial problem, hey, where's my coolant going? There's a giant puddle, blah, blah, blah. Then it sprung a little leak on one of the heater core hoses rather. A little rather difficult to find leak, but anyway, eventually made itself apparent. We fixed it. But the point I want to relay to you is that even though the reservoir cap is actually a valve, and I think it's set to 15 pounds or 16 pounds to bleed off pressure when the cooling system gets overpressured, what generally happens with cooling problems is you'll be losing coolant, you'll find the leak, you'll fix it, and then another leak will pop up. Well, why is that? Well, it is not just a random universe that we live in. The pressure in the system is finding the next weakest spot of the system to leak from. So that's exciting. So very often when you fix one leak in your cooling system, others will crop up, and then you'll say what we all eventually say. Fucking Chrysler, which is what we all say. And I've been saying it for 40 years. They keep making them, I keep buying them. But it's not Chrysler's fault, that's every vehicle. It's just continuously finding a place for that pressure to go until everything gets repaired or everything is enough to snuff, up to snuff enough where the valve in the coolant bottle cap is what's going to be the final pressure release point. So very, very common for a person to get something fixed in, a leak, and then a week later, damn it, it's leaking over here. They fixed that, damn it, it's leaking over here. Well, what it's doing is finding your weakest point of your thing. Anyway, so let's look at that, and then maybe I'll show you something else, because I don't know if you can see behind me. On my left, your right, behind me, I am between us. I bought a new toy. I'll show you that at the end, because I deserve a toy. God damn it, I've been working 7 days a week for 3 years now. I need a fucking toy. All right, let's talk more about coolant. All right, check this out, you little salty ball garglers. Never seen this. This is a blown out radiator. She's a blown. I don't know if you can see what happened. Why did it do that? Fuck if I know. But that's definitely where it's leaking from, and it was certainly leaking. I know how much your prurient interest spurn your need for carnage, and there is some right there. There you go. That's your radiator. She done give up the ghost. There, you can look inside it. Well, what does it look like inside it? Ew, what a weird feeling. I would argue that failed due to some kind of manufacturing problem, because there's no reason I should be able to peel this fucking heat tube bullshit. God damn. All right. Well, we've had enough. I've inserted my tip into you, and consider yourself postcoital. Love you, bye. Hey, while we're here for just my tip, there's a couple of things to learn about this. One is that this sticker on the top, Bear Mopar brand, so this would be OE, made in Spain, but look at the date, just December of 2015. Now the van in question behind me was made in October of 13. Sorry. The van behind me in question was made in October of 13, so it's a pre-pro van. There was a recall on the radiators that you're too old to remember, or too young, you just don't remember. But they had issues with the radiator splitting, so this would have been the factory replacement or dealership level replacement of the original radiator at the end December of 2015. The important thing to know is that this radiator's been in that van for 830,000 miles since, or how, whatever, some crazy amount. It actually lasted pretty well. The fact, if we look at this in the interest of forensics, I've peeled this back myself, but we know how this works. Basically, the way a radiator works is that these larger sections, or these contiguous sections, coolant flows through those, and the little fins are just to give it more surface area. They don't actually carry coolant, which is why, of course, shit can go through your radiator, can get clogged up. It doesn't actually affect it. You've seen many times, you go, oh, here's this radiator still perfectly good, right? However, I'm looking here. This is generally how a radiator fails, a side seam leak, because that aluminum frame is pinch welded and then chemically bonded to this plastic side tank. And the way this generally works, this is the input and that's the output. So used hot water comes in here from from that big pipe around the front of the engine, basically. Comes in here, and as it matriculates down and flows this way, air flows through it and whatever, and it collects without air bubbles down here at the lowest part, and that's where the water pump sucks it up and repressurizes it and all that bullshit. But that's the general path. Anyway, as you can see, probably over a long period of time, this has been weeping at the weld seam of the plastic tank and here, because that is very old, crusty coolant of also a different color that's in it now. So that's been like that for a long time. Why it sprung its leak from this area, I do not know. And in many ways, I do not care, because she's 10 years old and that's fine. But interesting stuff. I just like the fact that we get a little bit of history on it from that sticker. Many parts on your van, just like the tattoos on your ass, have a date coded within them in one capacity or another, and like so. I have had this van since 2015, and it has been through so many repairs in those 800-some thousand miles. I have no fucking idea what's original and what's not. I know that fan module's not original. I don't give a fuck. They all your white vans look alike to me. You damn white people, you all look alike. All right, well, that was the an extra inch of my little tip, because sometimes you gotta, a little bit more, just a little bit more. Once we're this far, who gets hurt? Don't worry, I'll be done before you know it. Because I strive to give you as much information as I can in these ridiculous videos, I like to talk just a little bit about more philosophical things about the cooling system. The reason you don't want to mix coolants isn't because they won't work, it's because there are two kinds, OAT and HOAT coolant, that are incompatible and will form a sludge. It's just something to think about. I have a whole video on mixing OAT and HOAT coolant. Your Promaster, all of them, takes OAT coolant and or Dexcool, which is GM's trade name for OAT coolant. But the reason why you can use distilled water as coolant, actually pure water is a better coolant than antifreeze. It has lubrication properties in it plus antifreeze. But you don't want to use tap water because it has minerals in it. The reasoning behind this is, over time those minerals would collect in the place that you can't get to, which is the heater core. If the radiator were to plug, you'd just change the radiator and move on with your life. But if the heater core plugs, to change the heater core is a major piece of surgery. The whole dash has to come out. It's not something you want to deal with. Luckily, I've never seen a Promaster heater core go bad as such. They don't wear out as such, but that's the reason why you want to keep your cooling system homogeneous in its, whatever it's using. The other thing is modern coolants have anti-corrosion agents in them. What would happen in an old vehicle with a lot of steel in the system is particulates of rust, water, rust, steel, ferric metals. And that rust is abrasive, and it would abrade the inside of it could abrade the inside of the water pump, I suppose, but also it would abrade the inside of the delicate little fins in the heater core or the radiator. Similar story with this engine in the Promaster, which is mostly aluminum, very little steel in this system, but aluminum oxide, that white powder, is actually abrasive. You can use it as an abrasive. So the idea is that the additives in the coolant, and additionally preventing it from freezing when it gets below the freezing point of water, provides some lubricity and some resistance to, galvanic reactions or whatever the fuck happens in with the goddamn cooling system. All right, kids, as promised, here's my new toy. What is it? Oh, it's so cute. It's a little automotive pickle tickle. It is a 1972 Fiat 850 Spider Sport, some crap like that. This is not a car I had any familiarity with. And in fact, I don't know shit about Fiats. The only other Fiat I've ever owned was a 2015 Abarth, the Fiat 500, the little turd bubble thing. But this propped up in my, I'm looking at porn and toggling between the Facebook Marketplace, as one does, looking for oddball vehicles. That's how I found that thing. And this was about a year ago, and the price kept coming down. I talked to the guy and so on. And then about a month and a half ago, I said, is that thing still? He says, nobody would buy it. I said, I'll buy it. And before you think I'm, some kind of extravagance, this was a $1,400 purchase because it doesn't run. Although I'm pretty sure I can make it run. I hope it runs. Even if it doesn't run, it's still cute. This thing is hilariously small. The camera won't show you. Maybe I'll take a picture of me next to it because it's so diminutive and wee. It is clown car-ish small. 850 cc's. They're lying to you. It's actually 902 cc's, almost as big as a riding mower. 48 horsepower when it was new, considered one of the slowest cars ever made. 1,600 pounds. That's, there are motorcycles that weigh 1,600 pounds. 1,600 pounds. A Volkswagen Beetle weighs 2,200 pounds. That little Fiat 500 I had weighed 2,600 pounds. Your full Promaster, your extended, weighs 5,600 pounds. This is 1,600 pounds. That's just criminally light because there's zero safety. But the important thing is, for all its pert little bottom, look at its cute little butt, is this. That's where you want to be, baby. Look at that. The engine's in the wrong spot. Awesome. Look, coat hangers are what hold it open. That's just great. Look at this little, it's hard to explain just how small. That's the valve cover. That's the entire cooling system. Oh my God, it's so cute. It cranks and it sputters, but it doesn't run. It's either something with the distributor or something with the 2 barrels of fun Weber. But look at the little exhaust. Look at these little headers. Look, does this remind you of the diameter of something? And I believe it was orange once. I don't care, whatever. I just want to attempt to give you a sense of the scale of this vehicle. I'm not a large man. I'm 5'6". Oh, yeah. Oh, will it start? I don't know. It might fire. No, the distributor cap's off of it. Not worth it. Anyway. Whee! Then we go around here, up here. Surprisingly roomy inside. And look, an ashtray. And look, this is the entirety of the HVAC system. You want it to blow on you, you turn it. Cassette. 4 speeds, oh fun. Under here, I'd have to turn it and I had to do it with one hand, but this pops up and the soft top comes and then I've got a removable hard top for it there. The previous guy, in his attempts to get it run, he said there's so much rust in the gas tank that he installed this technology. That's perfectly safe. I mean, what could possibly happen in a crash? By the way, what's also fun to know, watch this. Right hand, 1,600 pounds. Look. Oh. Anyway, look at the tiny little, look under here. Look, if you don't put that piece of wood there, the positive terminal grounds out on the body and we all go up in flames. What could possibly go wrong with that? Oh, that's just the best. Anyway, my plan is to, apparently this vehicle, when, in perfect condition, will go almost 65 miles an hour. 13s. I plan to just tool around in it in a tweed sport coat with leather elbow patches, smoking a pipe. That's all I want to do. I just want to go for a light putt on back roads and have the sun burn my bald spot.